Yep, I'm back at it with the solar. We're going for a cycle later, so it's still going to rain. Look, I'm trialling my new slimline vlogging pack.
Oh, what?
So this is for the camera. Yeah, this has got my phone and a few other little bits that are necessary in it. Sweet, let's give it a go. It's raining, which is really putting a dent in my ability to film. Because one of the problems with the new small bag is I can't fit lots of cameras in it. In fact, I can only fit one. Yeah, so we came here looking for a basketball, and can you believe it? They don't have one. We can't find one. Now I know we've had coronavirus and all that, but at the same time, they wonder why the high street's dying. Online does have its limits though. We tried to get Danny champion of the world for Jasper, the Roald Dahl book. Amazon's like 1 or 2 months wait. It's almost like there's rather a lot of parents out there struggling to keep their children entertained. Yeah, like me. And everyone I know. Coffee! My first takeout coffee in months. Coffee! Grab one. So, what I wanted to talk about today is battery degradation, which kind of does feed in a little bit into my solar panel obsession because I don't tend to find my batteries degrade very quickly. And one of the reasons for that is because I like to fill them with solar energy. And the thing about solar panels is they can struggle to get the batteries up to 100% without full direct sunlight. Hence, the batteries are regularly not charged to 100%, which tends to make them last a lot longer. And that's kind of what I think is going on with this report from Tesla. They've released some battery degradation information, and it seems to suggest that basically your average Tesla battery is still on 85% plus, even when it's done more than 200,000 miles, which is a very decent distance, and that's fully in line with my own experience with my battery, which is so far doing great, and I've done 127,000 miles. And one of the reasons that I think the Tesla batteries do quite well is because by and large nobody charges them to 100% on a daily basis. The most anyone really charges them to is 90%, and Tesla does try to sort of encourage as conservative a charging regime as possible. It certainly tries to encourage you to charge it up as soon as you get below 20%. You know, the battery icon turns yellow, the car starts to say, oh, you need to get more power. Have you thought about using this supercharger? Things like that. And it's the accumulation of this battery care over a decade that leads to the battery not really degrading that quickly, because although you do have a calendar life side to battery degradation, in large part, most of the degradation on certainly over a short time span is all through not being charged appropriately, either being charged up really high and then left at 100% for a few days in the sun or a few weeks in the sun. Something like that is awful for batteries. They want to be left in the middle at about 60%, 50-60%, 20 degrees Celsius. They love it. That way they'll basically last for however long the calendar life is for the battery, which is, you know, typically for a lithium-ion cell going to be 10 years plus, unless it's a rubbishy cheap cell, of course. You've just got to make sure that you're charging and using it appropriately, which Tesla's software encourages you to do. The flip side of that is the Nissan Leaf, the original 24 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf that had a relatively thermally sensitive battery and no active battery thermal management. End result, 60,000 miles, your battery's done. Certainly the battery on my bike should last for ages, because one of the downsides of charging it from that solar generator is I can't really do a full charge, not even in a whole day. It would take a couple of days to get it from empty to full. So I tend to just charge it right in the middle, which is great because it's a nice big battery. And that's one of the advantages of having a big battery. It does help you to just use the battery in that middle segment. Right, now I'm feeling really self-conscious because I haven't done a huge amount of vlogging recently, and this whole holding a camera up in public thing is kind of weird. On the upside, we failed to get a basketball, but I have managed to get some books for Jasper to read. hopefully books that he can actually read to himself, but I guess we'll see about that. Yes, Monkey? That was a fun old cycle. I've used no battery power at all today because I'm still trying to charge up the bike, and you know, it's not fully charged yet, and besides I'm not going for a run today and I need the exercise. Battery degradation was always one of those things that put people off EVs in the early days. You know, you'd hear people like Jeremy Clarkson saying that within 5 years you'd need to get a whole new battery, which is patently nonsense. Although maybe not if he was talking about a Nissan Leaf, because it turns out he was right there. The original Nissan Leaf, 5 years, that'd do it. Right, I better go because I'm the person with the keys and they're almost at home now. I love living out in the forest. It's quite cool. I'm actually kind of living the dream with the whole forest thing because I've always wanted to be able to cycle like out of the house with Jasper and just like brilliant. And also I am amazed that this bike is actually holding up, going over all of these roots and bumps and everything, because it's not designed for this, but it is doing it. You see, the thing is, looking after your battery, it basically does take some effort. Unless a company like Tesla has got involved and they have deliberately tried to make your battery last well. For example, that's the reason why mobile phones are basically done after a couple of years, because in order to make the sticker price as high as it possibly can, I reckon they really push the chemistry miles further than it should go. They let it go too low, too regularly. They let people charge it up to 100%, and the 100% really is pretty much 100%, whereas in a Tesla 100% is only really, what, 95%? And even then they encourage you to only charge it to 90%, which is probably something like 85%. So you see where I'm going with this, right? I only charge my car to 70% often, and I've got battery loss of about 4 or 5% over 127,000 miles, and it's barely changed for years now. So
can we play
Simple Rockets? Simple Rockets is going to be in about 15 minutes, Jasper. I've just got to finish this video. Totally blown my train of thought. Obviously Tesla are continually improving their chemistries as well, and the ultimate goal here is to have a battery that just lasts forever, and that way recycling it is just a case of taking that cell out of your old machine and putting it into a new machine. I think that would be brilliant, and I think we can get there from a scientific point of view. I just don't think that the technology, the engineering and the production technology has caught up to the point where that can be a reality yet. Well, I think the future is looking extremely bright for battery technology, and the fact that it's possible to build batteries that really do last for a sort of sensible lifetime for, say, a vehicle is fantastic. I'd like to see the same sort of longevity in the batteries they produce for things like phones and cameras and laptops, because, you know, just reduce the waste generally and make it much easier. Even if you recycle the rest of the laptop, if you could take the battery out and use that in a future laptop, it becomes much easier to, you know, have a second life and a reuse for these batteries that doesn't involve landfill. Okay, right. I am going to sign off for the day now. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, remember to like it and share it and subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you don't already. Links in the description. And I will see you in the next episode of my vlog. Bye. Is that on? I'm thinking polarized sunglasses. And one of the reasons for that is because I like to fill them with solar panels. Well, because they've sort of released some battery degradation. Just quickly finishing it now. Okay?
Why you just what?
Yeah, just need to finish very quickly, okay?